What was that?
Perfect. You want to be that guy?
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow. What up, everybody? Good morning, DCTV. It is Wednesday, December 7th.
Good job, Brandon. We didn't know what was coming, guys, so we're all scared.
I'm a man of my word.
The intro, I liked it. I liked it.
Very good.
I
Very
like
good.
that. But what's up,
Wow.
everybody? Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hungry. Let's get to Friday quick enough.
So looking at futures right now, S&P is down again, 0.39%. The Dow is down another 0.18. It's good for 60 points. No big deal there. NASDAQ is down over 0.5%, though. And looking at WTI crude, it took a huge beating yesterday. It's now at $75 a barrel. And looking at Bitcoin, of course, is now back below 17,000 at 16,865. Where Bitcoin is down 134 points right now.
Merry Christmas.
We're at an interesting point,
Yeah.
Jaime. We're going to get into a lot of topics today involving Bitcoin and a potential bottom, but then also talking about Jamie Dimon and his incessant hypocrisy.
Duplicity.
It's
Hypocrisy.
so fucking crazy. He
Jamie Dimon.
called cryptocurrency no better than a pet rock.
Yeah.
Yet is doing a lot of things that indicate
Patents
something
on
different.
it.
Right. Yeah, we'll get into it. In a second. On top of many other things, Marathon is also not getting not even half of their money back. So we're talking about a lot of that stuff coming up, and also the WTF of the day is going to involve the Twitter Files 2.0. But before we get into any of that, Jaime, we do have an interesting point to make on Bitcoin just from a technical standpoint. And I know that you guys or that you've been talking about this for a while. So I want you to show everybody this chart in particular and what you're seeing with Bitcoin in general.
Perfect. So a little background on this chart. We've been using it as an organization and as a team, this chart for a long ass time, and it's T-Trader 26. I'll drop the link to this chart. I did not create this chart, but this chart has been around for a while. But just so everyone sees where we're at, this is on the weekly, but this the originator of this chart, where I created a copy of it, and it still references, and I put all the where it came from, always acknowledging the source of it. This guy built out a general, a historic chart for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been following this is called an S growth curve. So when there's a new technology coming out or a new market or anything new, usually it will follow this type of growth into the future. And you can see usually in this growth S curve usually is very violent at the beginning, and then it starts leveling off until either adoption occurs or decline, the death of it. You'll see it as industries.
And this chart projects all the way out to 27.
Correct. Because that's where you reach the chasm, which is another concept where will the world adopt it really, or will it not? And that now creates another plateau, and then the next growth S curve in the other direction. But that's for another day. But for now, what you'll see is that there's a median point, which is this gray line you see. And when we zoom in, you can see that Bitcoin tends to have, of course, a bull run, and the time periods are almost to the T in terms of bull run, which is the green spaces, bear markets, which is the red, and then a discovery, finding the bottom, and then start rising into the next halving. The halving historically has been the point of now Bitcoin starts rising again and up until the apex. So in the case of the 2013 bull run, it topped out before the time frame schedule, but it still followed the median. So if you look at the price action combined with the time frames, Bitcoin has kept to this quite well it historically, and it hits almost precisely the tops and bottoms of each one of these. There are exceptions where it'll break through below, just a wick, but it has never closed a body above or below these growth S curve. Now it's looking a little fucked up, so now let me zoom it in so it makes sense. But this is the last bull run we had. And if you notice, the bull run lasted into the scheduled, quote unquote, time frame of the bear market, but then it followed the timing perfectly. It bottomed out, and now we entered that discovery. We had the COVID crash, and look, it's almost creepy how precisely the drop occurred right at that growth S-curve bottom visibly. So the big question is, where are we today? And what you'll see in this chart, let me zoom it in even further. You will see that we topped around November time period, and we did around March was the first one, and then we double topped into November of last year into the bear period, and we've been coming down. And this is where I started calling attention internally to our team before we made it public. Like, guys, this is where we're at. Thus, we just start hedging, like either moving out or, cashing out, whatever, take profits, etc., in preparation for what was to come. And I put the target down here at 13.8 based on chart analysis and what we've been looking at for a while now. So you'll see that we followed this trend line, this median, quite well, and then took a shit. And look at where we've actually hit as bounced off of in the historical chart. Of course, this doesn't mean it cannot wick below. It remains to be seen. But overall, we have entered, as of December, into the discovery period, meaning where Bitcoin can go up or down, but the median line is up. Wait until we hit the halving, which is in 2024. And if you think about it and look at the news, a lot of people are calling for a recession 2023 if interest rates start continues to rise, or the moment the Fed pivots, there is a possibility of a market downturn, which is counterintuitive, but we'll dive into that later. But this is the subject of our stream today: is did it bottom out? Well, if you look at the movement currently, it looks like we're bottoming, or we have bottomed. The big question is, so it's a time, if you're dollar cost averaging, investing, if this is an asset for you, that you've done your research, you understand it, this is a great time overall to dollar cost into it and place orders if you deem this is your cup of tea to invest in, besides silver, gold, and any other energy, any other recession proof or anti-recessionary assets that will help you continue earning revenue. But it looks like we're there. We have a little dip at the moment. Of course, we have the hearing, congressional hearing. We have that's calling for legislation to come out. We're worried that will it involve the market? Will it over legislate? Will this scammer SBF influence it in such a way that it goes against us, creating that dip, that to the buy that I'm hoping happens overall? But if not, we could almost look at this historical chart and say we have bottomed.
Yeah.
So keep your options open, keep your mind. But if we continue moving forward upwards, then you could say we have bottomed, and now you can start easing your funds into this. Not all in. Don't take a loan on your house for the love of God. We've seen so many go under because of that.
Yes.
But that's where we're at today. I don't know if there's any questions or doubts. Did I misexplain?
No.
Okay.
I thought that was a great explanation. I think the way to simplify that growth curve, because I think some people look at this and are like, "What the fuck? I've never seen that before." But
it's been out there for a while.
Yeah,
the pickle.
Yeah, right. So it actually looks great. And let us know in the comments below if you guys think that we've potentially seen a bottom, or at least we are close to one, and what you guys are doing. I actually put a poll up in the chat here. So far, 50% of you say that you're buying Bitcoin right now with both hands. So the majority of our viewers so far are buying with.
We
both
believe
hands.
Jamie Dimon is too.
Yes.
Speaking
which we will be getting into in just a moment. But if you guys haven't checked it out already, please go check out our Discord. It's absolutely free to join. We'd love to have you guys there. Jaime is putting in the link for the chart right now. And so if you guys want to go check out our Discord, it's absolutely free to join. You want to continue this conversation, we'd love to have you guys there. Or if you have like other insights, right? If you're looking at something else on the chart, you're like, nah, this thing's going to fucking zero. Let us know what you think in the comments and in our Discord. We'd love to have you guys there. Also, if you're enjoying the stream so far, make sure you hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate that too. But guys, I wanted to get into my WTF of the day, and it is Twitter Files 2.0.
Wow.
So Elon has is it Matt Taibbi? Is that how you pronounce
Yes.
it?
Yes,
You
correct.
nailed it.
He's a legit dude.
Independent reporter. Yeah.
I'm so good at butchering names, so that's why I always
No, that
just
was good.
Shout out to Matt Taibbi.
But he said on Friday, the first installment of Twitter Files were published on his Twitter profile. He said, we expected to publish more over the weekend. Many wondered why there was a delay. He says that we can now tell you that a part of the reason why on Tuesday, Twitter Deputy Counsel and former FBI General Counsel Jim Baker was fired. Among the reasons, vetting the first batch of Twitter Files without the knowledge of new management. The process for producing the Twitter Files involves a delivery in two journalists, Barry Weiss via a lawyer close to new management. However, the final initial batch, things became complicated. If you guys recall, Elon talked about this when he said he was going to release these files about the Biden case and stuff like that. And then there was like this delay, right? He says, oh, it's going to be 40 minutes, ended up turning into like 3 hours. Yes. And then our very own Brandon, aka at the Real Data Lord, and ended up going live and releasing those as well, and just kind of reacting to the overall Twitter Files themselves. But now there is a second, I guess, a part two to this. Over the weekend, he said, while we both dealt with obstacles to new searches, it was Barry Weiss who discovered that the person in charge of releasing the files was someone named Jim. When she called to ask Jim's last name, the answer came back, Jim Baker. He said that my jaw hit the floor. The first batch of the files both reporters received was marked Spectra Baker emails. And Baker is a controversial figure. He has been something of a zealot of FBI controversies dating back to 2016 from the Steele dossier at the Alpha server mess. He resigned in 2018 after an investigation into leaks from the press. The news that Baker was reviewing the Twitter Files surprised everyone involved, to say the least. The new Twitter chief executive officer Elon Musk acted quickly to exit Baker Tuesday. That was a quote, exit Baker.
Yeah.
Reporters
on the screen.
Yeah. So here is some of his tweets. He says, reporters resumed searches through the Twitter Files material, a lot of it today. Next installment of Twitter Files will appear, and to stay tuned. So we may end up actually reacting to this, because this whole story has been absolutely insane. And you might be asking yourself, well, why are we talking about this on DCTV? Well, because Decentralized isn't just financial. It's just related to financial. And I think that this actually applies as well. I mean, we're not talking about one side or the other. We're talking about corruption on either side of the aisle. This isn't just Trump versus Biden, left versus right. This is a really serious thing, in my opinion, on just how deep this goes. Now the FBI is being brought into view here, which is crazy, because I have family that was in the FBI, and I'm sure they had no idea that any of this was going on. So it's definitely a select few.
There's different pockets in our bureaucracies, though. There's people who are literally investigating like elderly abuse and child abuse cases. Yes. And then there's people who are doing their own agenda thing that they were paid to do. And not everyone's privy to that, unfortunately.
Yeah. And why is this all important is because Twitter is supposed to be a town square where anybody from anywhere can be able to communicate.
Well, that's Elon's vision.
Yes. Well, I think initially
it was Jack Dorsey's vision.
Jack Dorsey's
at the very beginning, until all of a sudden you had this gang, and it doesn't matter what side. I mean, the fact that things were starting to be filtered out to where the narrative was starting to lean one way or the other and squelching a part of the town square community where they could not of course, and we want to keep life, property, and liberty, honor it always, so respect without hurting community members, like truly threatening them. So you always want to have a balance in the communication. Well, that balance was taken to the point where now you start squelching a certain area or group of people that can no longer speak freely without, of course, creating hurting physically, respecting the laws of the Constitution. So that's what's being brought to here. So now they discovered that one of the people or team members that were supposed to now release those files is now the guy that was supposed to release the next the clear batch, what was being squelched. Well, you can only imagine to the surprise. And I remember someone calling out to Elon or to the community saying, hey, this is the same guy that was part of the squelching is now releasing this. And that's where they said, we just found out this weekend what occurred. So by Tuesday, he was gone. This is a very important thing where Elon continues to follow the correct path of opening and creating that transparency. Every single time we come to these issues that we suffer as an American society is the lack of transparency. Who is benefiting from certain release of information or not? And we want the full transparency so we can, as a society, make a clear and informed decision. Even like Lord saying everyone is ignoring the fact that he's left-leaning reporter.
That's Matt
about
Taibbi.
Matt Taibbi.
Yeah. Yes. But the information is there, though.
Right.
So now let's use everybody, left, right, wherever you're leaning, but let's speak as a society. Let's keep this transparency so we can all continue building for our own children's future. Give them something, not
for
just
the chillins.
Give them problems.
Everyone should want to live decentralized.
Yes.
Well, it's about self-sovereignty.
I'm generalizing that, but everyone should want that, and it's not just like I said, not just financially. It's with everything. That's what it means to be free, in my opinion.
Yep.
Truly.
It gets into natural law, right? Natural law says you have been ordained with inalienable rights to life, liberty, and property, right? You don't have the right to infringe on someone else's, and they don't have the right to infringe on yours. You have the right to defend yourself if they do. And so that's why like menacing and libel are still illegal, because you are damaging someone's well-being in those cases. But just saying that someone's a fart sniffer, doesn't, like, we hurt my feelings, you should ban him, he said something I don't like. Like get thick in your skin, buddy. You can do it. You can do it. Stand up straight. Put your chin up. You can do it.
Right. And that communication has to remain open, guys, and decentralized from a standpoint of us individuals, self-thinking, where we do our own homework. We are accountable to our own decisions, not point fingers that, oh, he or she told me to do this. No, you should have thought through it. And if you did get in trouble and sold all your assets to do the wrong choice, that's on you. But then as individuals that own our own data, make decisions as a community to benefit us all, because it's game theory also. We all want to win. We all want to have a society where we all can win and build a future together. So we got to keep the course, guys, and look for that transparency, look for that decentralization. And whenever someone offers you a service for free, trust me, you're the product in the end. Your information, they'll own it. It'll be centralized, not by you, but by whoever you just shared all your data with. How do you think this whole legal situation occurred with Facebook and the political quagmire that occurred previously? And all these, it's because your data was being sold, shared, or made available to people without your full detailed knowledge that, now others can make decisions and profile me, put me in this group, and now I make an ad that will influence this group. So that's centralization for you. Twitter, all these, what I see goes to your point. Elon is trying to decentralize it back, make it a town square where us as individuals, sovereign individuals, can come and discuss issues and address issues as a society, each community sharing and trying to come to a middle ground where we all win. Or if we don't all win, well, where collectively we win, but some of the community members lose, like a family, like any family.
Yeah.
So guys, the right thing is being done with these releases and this communication, this transparency, and we should push for that.
Yeah, and we should be critical too. If we don't see it squaring up properly, we should say something. And people are like, this very story is about some people saw the data that was being released wasn't square, so they barked about it, and the dude got chopped. So
absolutely,
we have to keep up on just holding everyone accountable, and that includes ourselves. We have to be intellectually honest
and engage. Like, bring solutions. Don't just bring criticism. Bring solutions, guys, and let's work together. Get ourselves out of this as a society. If our leaders can't do it, let's do it as a society.
You know how different social media would be if people didn't go on there just to say, hey, this sucks, this is stupid, this is terrible, but instead came on to say, hey, I think this was a problem we need to solve. Here's some solutions I've thought of. Who else has other ideas of how to solve this problem? But like, that would actually be fixing the problem and not,
right. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, but again, we're talking in theory right now, and something that is never going to happen in actual practice. And I say that because I mean, you're speaking to everybody who is quote unquote normal, but social media and the inability of people to take accountability, to understand consequences, the ability to say I was wrong. There is a big segment of the population that will never do that, does not want to do that, does not want to get better. They do not want to be proven wrong. They do not want to learn. And social media is what's given these type of people the loudest voice, as if they are a much larger segment of society than they really are. And I'm telling you this from my former careers, when I was dealing with people like this day in and day out. Not everybody wants to get better. Not everybody wants better for themselves. Not everybody wants to learn, understand, dive deep, and not everybody's got that at all. And all they want to do is yell and scream and do what they've always done to get the grease, so to speak, as you know, they are the squeaky wheel. So they don't want to stand up and say, you know what, I was wrong. I should do this. I should be more positive. I have more information now. Maybe my viewpoint was wrong.
Right.
That does not exist, nor do they ever care to have that. So it's going to be hard, even though you're right. But that's the problem with people who have an opinion that have never been on the front lines dealing with it. Opinion and theory versus practical reality. You have to understand that you're speaking logically to a segment of the population who is anything but logical.
Yeah, well said.
And that's why it's so refreshing that someone that does think in a constructive way, like Elon,
who's the richest man in the world,
correct? And
like we couldn't have had this could have gone so bad, right? Like Elon, like the richest man in the world, could have done anything to sway things to his own agenda.
And
right?
who knows?
And maybe this is his own agenda. But my point is that like it could have been. Somebody with that kind of power could have made things way worse for the rest of the world, and he's choosing to do the opposite.
How do you get Neuralink in every single person's body to control them as robots if you don't?
Yes.
But he remote controlled a pig this week. That's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
With Neuralink,
you will not catch me with a trip in my brain. It's just not going to happen.
But why?
Probably already there.
Yeah, that's fair. I got COVID. I got the vaccine, guys.
Exactly.
So
Boom.
I know.
They're tracking me right now. They're tracking me right now.
That's right.
Exactly.
No wonder my ass glows every time I take a shit. So that's. But he is the world's richest man in his case because he's actually has brought results to industries that had no future without him. Like if he would not have engaged electric cars, if he would not engage, PayPal
was the original peer-to-peer.
Yes. Until now they're dirty political controlling
Right.
motherfuckers,
Yeah.
you know? Oh shit. They may take $2,500. Sorry, guys. I was
Yeah.
going to say. Yeah.
Deleted. I deleted that.
Yes, but do you understand?
Ass
So
glows every time you take a shit. So
he's been to the point where he was leaning one side and now fucking left an entire state, went to the other one, where it's like he's another American trying to make a better future for himself and the community he serves. And now and they were criticizing him of buying and not buying Twitter. Well, he got forced by the courts. He's like, fuck it, here I come, you know, and boom, we see what we see, and Twitter's growing by leaps and bounds because of it. So it does work, Tamp, as long as the right soul gets in there and has, one, the influence, and two, the leadership to kind of squelch, because the trolls were magnified in Twitter through the bots, or the leanings were magnified through the bots, which
true. Absolutely true.
You know, so that's how you magnify a small section of the community. And now it seems like the world is thinking that way. So now he comes in and starts squelching, cleaning, and doing this. And CZ on the crypto side also has been doing the right steps and leading. So the moment FTX went down, all right, proof of reserves, and whatever other concepts were coming in, like, guys, let's engage this now.
Yeah.
And started pushing for it, where everyone started following. So it is possible, Tamp. And come on, our previous society, our generations were able to either grow it or bring our American society to a better point. Now we've become almost internally rotten because of all this dirt that's being magnified.
Very small segments of population acting like they're much larger than they really are.
Correct. Yes. And influencing the narrative to everyone else's demise.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know that famous adage, though, that like tough times make strong men, strong make good times, good times make weak men make hard times, and the cycle continues. So I think we're in an interesting time where I think that's happening at different iterations in different communities on the planet at the same time, because what I can say is that just being inside of, like, you know, tech and being inside of like communities that are building new things, we've had hard times, and everything that we're doing right now is trying to build out of the strength we've kind of grown out of this. We've been like, hey, we've been censored heavily, we've had systems break and be dragged and promoted even though they had no business being promoted. We're going to do different things. So we're accelerationist. We just say, well, it hasn't crashed yet, but it's trash. It's just going to keep hurting people. Let's stop that and just fix something else. But then there's other large portions of the world who are not on that cycle. They're still on the weak men create hard times part. So I think it'll be interesting to see those two kind of ecosystems collide and see at what point does, like, the smaller ecosystem that's accelerationist kind of take over and say, no, we're doing this now, you know. And I think Elon's possibly a big part of that, right?
Yeah, trigger.
He's an accelerationist for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No homo.
What?
So we've been together.
I mean, we've been together. We've been together. Oh shit! We've been together for so long. We're finishing each other's.
You guys are cute.
Left me hanging.
Damn, no. Phrases.
Sentences.
Thoughts, sentences.
All right,
moving on.
Moving on. Speaking of what the fuck, and Jamie Dimon just continues to be an absolute fuckstick. So he was interviewed on CNBC yesterday, and a blasted cryptocurrency and just talking about the FTX debacle and whatever else. He just couldn't stop there. He just couldn't stop. He couldn't just say Sam Bankman-Fried's a piece of shit, has nothing to do with crypto overall. Nope, couldn't say that. He just said that crypto is a complete sideshow, and it likened it to rather a pet rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
I drew this art for you.
He went even further. He went even further to talk about how cryptocurrency lends itself to terrorism financing, tax avoidance, and sex trafficking, which in fact is actually not all that easy to do. And in fact, it's easier to do with cash rather than
Can we talk about
cryptocurrency.
that, please.
Yeah. It's a global visible ledger, guys.
Yeah.
Blockchain is a ledger.
Well,
if you know
guys,
anonymous,
Yeah, in all honesty, we really don't need to spend that much time on this, except for our viewers who are seeing this and wondering why. This is Jamie Dimon. Yeah,
yes.
and so I get that, but
Yeah.
this is this whole thing is and water is wet. This is Jamie Dimon. This is what he has been doing. Jamie Dimon has been aware of Bitcoin and bashing Bitcoin for literally years, multiple years. It's talking about how it's bad for banking, it's bad for business, it's bad for investors who put their money into crypto. All the while, JP Morgan, who he's the CEO of, they offer more crypto services than they ever have to their clients. They're planning a cryptocurrency wallet. They utilize their own blockchain for payments at their bank. So again, we've said this for years, and this falls perfectly into it right now. Watch what they do, not what they say. Jamie Dimon is a snake. You've probably, if you haven't been with us, if this isn't your first stream, you've heard us make fun of Jamie and Jamie Dimon. This is what we're referring to, because this guy has been doing this same thing for years. He's the perfect two-faced animal. He's perfect. So just this guy we don't need to spend a ton of time on this. We don't need to, but I do want to ask the question. It's like, we don't need to spend a ton of time on it because we've addressed it enough. But for the newer viewer, like you were saying, Tamp, that needs to be said. But
like, at what point does this guy like? Okay, the gig is up. Like, at what point? Like,
I was fucking with you,
guys. Listen,
I'm fully invested.
Yeah,
how can you be? Hold on. How can you be a CEO of a company like JP Morgan and then everything's happening underneath of you? That says the exact opposite. Like, you don't see that with companies traditionally. Like, right. Like you have Elon Musk, which you just talked about, or like a Tim Cook who knows everything that's going on with their company and it doesn't say one thing and another thing happens for the most part.
Correct.
But this is like absolutely blatant. Like this is just so obvious. It's like, how does anybody even take him seriously? And how does he even get airtime on CNBC anymore?
Because guys, we literally, I was silent the whole first 30 minutes of the show because I didn't want to go off on my opinion on why we are the way we are at this point.
Then what's the meaning of life, Tamp?
We just spent 30 minutes talking about how people can't adjust or they want a loud voice, even if they're wrong. We talked about on Monday, SBF and the whitewashing that is going on there. And we talked about part of the reason is because before the FTX collapse, the media underwrote SBF as a savior, an altruist, the right thing, special. He's doing everything great. FTX collapses, and the media cannot go back, re-underwrite, and adjust and say, hey, we reported this way, and now we were wrong. Right. Because saying I'm wrong means accountability. It means possible consequence. It means you're going to get, you have to wear a dunce hat for a minute. It's hard to say I was wrong. It's hard to say I'm sorry. And we've taken that away in society. So once again, now just change Jamie Dimon into the media. He cannot go back, as Peter Schiff is in the same boat. Neither one of these guys, these figureheads, can go back, re-underwrite, pivot and say, hey, look, I thought one thing at one point. I have more info now, good or bad, and I'm adjusting or I'm staying the course.
Say it ain't so.
That is the agenda today. Take away the fact that you're wrong. Take away the ability to say, I'm sorry. Take away the ability to pivot. People just don't want to do it. They just don't, because it's freaking hard. And we're trying to take away competition. We're trying to take away tough lessons. We're trying to bubble wrap everything in our society so that you don't have to feel the growth of saying I'm wrong or looking somebody in the eye and saying I'm sorry. And that's the same thing right here. Is this guy is the exact same way as our traditional media. They underwrote it in one way at the beginning, and they cannot revisit and say, you know what? I was wrong back then. I'm sorry. This is what we're thinking now. So he says one thing and does another, because there's no consequence for it.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that people like us call him out. But at the end of the day, what does that do?
So in the end, if we back it out, like think like, okay, how does he win by doing this? Like, if he's a selfish cunt that can't think of others
Damn.
and as a society.
C-O-N-C-H-con.
How
That's the first time we had the C word on this channel. Congratulations, Jaime.
Yeah, well, he carries my name, Jamie Diamond. Come on, Jamie. So come on, stop giving my name a bad name. Think about it. He calls FTX a total scam. From a banker's perspective. And we know that they're doing a CBDC trial, which is a banker thing. And he knows that by calling crypto, everything crypto, even though JP Morgan coin, gentlemen and ladies, is a crypto, calls it a pet rock, what is he implying? What is he going to accomplish by this? Is influencing legislation to be released in his favor by really locking it down, because CBDC is truly a control mechanism enabled by blockchain. So this is how this guy is going to win. And in the meantime, his cronies and all his buddies, yo, come in here, buy it. I'm lowering the price for you. Don't be stupid. Let's go. And
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that happens all the time. That happens all
Getting
the
his
time
buddies
with
in.
that happens all the time with stocks. The upgrades, the downgrades. Like, oh, we need this lower. Okay, we'll find a way to figure out a bear case for it and
exactly
give it a nice good old downgrade for y'all.
Yeah,
Jamie's part of the swamp.
Yeah,
That's all it is. He sucks. He's excessively paid for being very, very grand on all of his opinions so that he's never wrong, right? Like he just said the other day, I think there's tweets all about it, is we're in for a mild to hard recession next year in 2023. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it. It's like the cable company saying that we'll be there sometime between 8A and 8P.
Absolutely.
That's not a call. Okay. You just literally said everything. It's like a weather guy saying, oh, well, we have a 95% chance of rain tomorrow. And it doesn't rain. So people are like, you were wrong. And he's like, no, I was in the 5% chance that it wouldn't rain. So I'm still right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like, listen, like some of these people, you can listen to what they say and maybe weight it with a grain of salt. But Jamie Dimon this is the same thing he's done forever. Like I'm talking multiple years, but damn near 10 years, Jamie Dimon has been shitting on Bitcoin.
He's
building the whole time.
He's the absolute, and it hasn't even just been with Bitcoin. So so in the traditional markets as well. I mean, he's tried to bring down the stock market. I don't know how many times by talking about crazy, outlandish rate hikes in the past. And the guy's never been right. That's why I'm saying, like mainstream media sucks his dick so hard, and he's never actually truly right about anything. It's just absolutely mind blowing. Like why this guy?
But what's brilliant, he's never right about anything. You see the reaction in the markets, yet underneath in the actions, like Tam says, he's buying, releasing patents, investing in MetaMask, which is your pet rock interface.
They already have the crypto wallet. They already registered for it.
They have that. And if a Bitcoin ETF gets approved, do you think JP Morgan Chase is not going to offer it? Of course they will.
Yeah.
There's
of
money
course
to be
they
made.
will.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Come on.
JP Morgan has completed its first ever cross-border transaction using the blockchain, and that was just a month ago.
Yeah.
He did say in that original article though that and I actually agree with him on this point. He's saying that there's basically just a ton of scams, and not the whole blockchain space is a scam, but the majority of cryptocurrencies don't do anything. That's true. That's actually true.
Yeah.
And so I think that we shouldn't overlook that fact that he and his buddies are aware the majority of crypto projects were either an experiment that wasn't taken very seriously, or it was a scam, right? Literally, ICOs were literally just .com scams, right?
Yes.
Where they're like, yeah, we have this thing that's gonna give you laser eyes. If you buy our coin, we'll get you laser eyes. And you know, people are like, yeah, I fucking want laser eyes. Let's do that. You know, I'll hold this coin, laser eyes all day.
And we've been calling this out forever on the channel. Like, do your research, because we know this is the .com implosion that we're witnessing at the moment for blockchain.
It's too easy.
And we want the death of all this BS in the market. We expect it. we were calling this bottom. We just didn't know how. Well, thank you, SBF, for triggering the damn thing. It's like, okay, now we see how the charts are always right. We just look for the news to match it,
Yep.
So yes, and we're not saying he's always wrong. If you notice how he's blending truth with a recommendation.
I said he's always wrong.
Yeah, I would not listen to Jamie Dimon on anything.
Just look at what he's doing.
Yeah, look at what they
do the opposite, essentially.
What he says.
Just take the Jim Cramer approach.
Exactly. Inverse Jim Cramer, inverse Jimmy Dimon.
Yeah.
And you'll win.
It's just funny to me because everybody, like I said, will suck Jamie Dimon's dick till the cows come home. But Kathy Wood comes out and is, not exactly correct on a lot of things.
Correct.
But then they just crucify her.
Right.
But she was right about a lot, and she was right about some really major things such as Bitcoin and Tesla.
Right.
But she rarely ever gets credit for that anymore because she's been wrong about some things.
But in her wrongness, she's actually saying what she is
and she's giving the timeline, which hasn't played out yet.
Correct.
She always talks about her 5-year timeline on things.
But what she says is matching what she's doing, unlike
correct
Jamie Dimon.
Yes.
Which is very different.
And she's very transparent. Like she puts it all out there, right or wrong.
Absolutely. And I respect that.
Yeah.
And even if she implodes, I respect her because she's doing what she's saying and not playing mind games in society.
Yeah. Anybody can think what they want about her, and that's fine. That's fair. It's your right to do it. But at the same time, it's like, well, you got this guy out here just blatantly lying, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, I wanted to chat a bit about this, about a fundamental Bitcoin bottom. So if you guys haven't checked this out yet, I would encourage you to go just do some research on this. But there's been some interesting, how do I say this? Some interesting developments on the fundamental side. Jaime, I can't believe I did that. It's been a long time.
All right.
Jaime just got done talking to you guys earlier this morning at the top of the show about the chart and the S curve, the growth curve of Bitcoin. But there is some fundamental things here that could be potentially making a case for a bottom. If you guys don't know Charles Edwards, again, go check him out. Go look him up. He said some of his tools, such as hash ribbons, were once known as a very profitable signal to Bitcoin, and is among the custom tool sets of crypto-specific indicators. In a recent Twitter thread, he put out that a series of on-chain signals that present a strong case as to why the bear market bottom in crypto could be in. Among the arguments, as you can see the chart here, include the price per Bitcoin dropping below the electrical cost of generating each coin. So that's the hash rate, plus the MVRV Z-score and a long-term NUPL are previous bear market lows. I want to turn your attention to this next chart as well. And this is one where he's talking about on-chain cases for the bear market bottom being in, and kind of goes into a little bit more about in past events where we're back when Bitcoin was trading at $290 and even $2. Bitcoin energy value is also at the deepest price discount it's ever seen, even back then. And so he also cites stablecoin capital is sidelined and hasn't left the industry due to FTX, which is also important. It's and we've talked about that too, about how Bitcoin, even though it took that initial dump, it came back and has actually been pretty resilient despite FTX. This is just waiting for reversal to reenter safely, according to Charles. He says he also points to minor capitulation in hash ribbons. So you have a certain subset of people that are actually still running for the hills, but for the majority of folks that have been in this game for a little while, this is very interesting to see that most of them are staying resilient, at least as resilient as they can. And make sure you stick around because we're going to be talking about Marathon in a little bit as it relates to this as well. But it's Bitcoin's trading around 17,000 per Bitcoin, and that's down around 77% from all-time highs. Past drawdowns include 96%, 86%, and 84%. So while it might feel painful, this isn't quite as painful as it has been in the past.
Absolutely. And you're dead on this information. Like all the signs are there, and including the chart this morning where we are in the area, the zone. So if Don Farm were on the show, he could draw you the zone where the absolute bottom can be. If we do the drawdowns, the size of the drawdowns, we still have not reached the absolute bottom in terms of top to the drawdown bottom that we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And you already see and feel all this blood in the industry, in the markets. In terms of the price per Bitcoin, the power costs. So for the ones that aren't familiar with the mining aspect of it, and which is in that chart that Brad just showed, there's a cost to mine Bitcoin. The absolute bottom to do that is we're scraping it at this very moment. So if you look at this, and is this on displayed? So if you look, this bottom rung here is the cost, electric cost. So
that bottom red line is what
yes, this bottom red line is the cost to mine Bitcoin. And think of it as a business, as a store. It costs you this much if you own a little bodega.
Cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold. You go to buy at Costco, Sam's Club, wherever. This is what it costs you. So there has to be a margin for you to feed your family. And this is where the price is. So this top one is the price
of Bitcoin.
So whenever the price of Bitcoin drops to the cost, no one's making money.
To the cost of mining, yeah.
Yes. So in other words, now it costs you the same amount to go to Sam's Club, buy beans for your bodega. You go to the bodega and you sell it at cost. What are you making?
Nothing.
You lose time, yeah.
Lose time, you have all this. So that's where now you begin to ask yourself, shit.
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Well, the only benefit you get from a business perspective is like, if you do need to offset your profits and losses, you can functionally take losses during that time where you're spending, business expenses for the power and infrastructure and all of that. But that comes out of your wallet. You have to be willing to float that cost strategically for a period of time.
Absolutely.
The question is, how long can you float it? Because most companies, when Lambo, they don't have a big reserve, right?
Absolutely. And if you notice here on the highlighted area, back in 16 to 17, it drug from July 16 to February 17, where people could have questioned. But if you notice, the trend was rising nonetheless.
So let's go to where it's at right now. If you just scroll over. You can...
So the end result of people who have been in the industry that know when is dragging, what has happened in the past? Well, you look to the past and look at the amount of profit.
Yes.
When the price went up. So that's what makes the miners look towards the future. So now let's move forward. And now we are currently in the same situation, just started November 10th around, which is FTX blew up around the 6th, I think.
Yep.
And by the 10th, boom, the price drops to cost. It doesn't prevent it like we saw in the past, where it dips below the price, below the cost of doing this. So we're seeing some of that now. It doesn't prevent it from doing a capitulation of the price, clearing out the floor, and now we have a clean slate to move upwards. But we're at that moment now, and it just began. So just looking at history, and we've had like the COVID crash. The previous bear market, we tapped it. The cost of electricity dropped, so did the price of Bitcoin, but then started rising again. COVID crashed right down to that bottom and then took off from there. So keep that in mind, guys, that this and the subject or the question we're analyzing is, are we at a macro bottom? These are the signs we're seeing that, yes, we are in that zone where it's safe to enter a small position into this. Not financial advice. I'm just giving you the logic.
Yeah, if you can afford the risk.
Correct. And you don't need this money tomorrow to pay your rent or buy milk for your child. This is your long-term 401k type money.
Yep.
Or if you're a trader, of course, I don't even need to tell you any of this. These principles is you will swing trade and then sell at the next top, So this overall macro bottom, and when you aggregate this chart with the other charts, the other technical charts, we're seeing that, yes, we are indeed in the buy zone. And that's where this morning when I did the analysis that you see here, you see a big green square of a buy zone.
That's room for error.
There's a massive room for error.
Yeah.
So the top of this is freaking $22,000. The bottom of this is $11,000. I wouldn't be surprised if we went even below that. But this is the zone where I personally am comfortable. Don't do what I say. Well, I'm going Jamie Dimon style.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm doing, don't follow it necessarily, but what
Right.
I'm doing is I am entering positions at this moment in this zone because I know, looking at history, where the top may be is around $145,000 per Bitcoin around June 25th.
It could go as high as 210.
It could go, yes, exactly. You see, so if you look at the zone itself, I was recommending an exit internally to us around here, knowing that we had this much room to come down. And so it's kind of like reading the tea leaves based on history. And usually history, if we know it's winter from November to February and, the seasons where they're at, it is a safer way to predict that, it's going to be cold from this time to this time. Well, we're in winter at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a safe time to buy an asset that when summer comes, you can't go fully wrong. And here's the big question for you, the person who does not understand Bitcoin is this a scam? So step one, you figure out what Bitcoin is and what it was created for, so you understand why this is an investable asset outside of gold, silver, and all the traditional safe bets. And then once you understand it, then you make decisions, so that's where you have to do your own research.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Is there technical value in the network with the highest proof of work hash rate in the entire world? I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
And we've covered it pretty well that it's impossible to time the bottom of this market.
Right.
There are signals, like I think we've covered that very well, that we don't know the bottom.
Mhm.
Could this be the beginning of the bottom? Is the bottom in? It's hard to say, but if we do go another leg down, which is absolutely possible,
Yes.
I think it's going to come in the form of news. And I still think before we call the bottom, even though the hash rate is a very telling sign, hash rate is very good, I still think we need to figure out what is going to come of the Bitcoin that actually is held by all these down businesses, your 3ACs and Voyagers. What is going to become of the actual Bitcoin that they held in their Chapter 11 filings?
Yes.
We still don't know that. And a lot of people too always ask about Solana right now because of how deeply tied they were into FTX and its fall. Should we buy now? And my answer for that, as well as Bitcoin right now, is we need to determine what the Chapter 11 filings are going to present before I would call the bottom truly in, because I think that is most likely going to be the next leg of news. I think we've pretty much seen all the dominoes fall that are going to fall. We might have another one, but I think this shakeout is just about done as far as over leveraged lending. I really do. I think it's just about done as far as that news goes.
Yeah.
Next news, Chapter 11. How's that going to shake out? Once we get clear wording on that, I think we either go ahead and take the dip because it's not good. We take that one last dip, or if everything's good, we might start the trend upward. That might be a good signal that the bottom is in fact in.
From a traditional sense, the stock market loves clarity, and I think that applies to all markets.
Yes.
So whether it's good or bad, they just want an answer. And so I think that as we continue to develop, and to your point, Tamp, we learn more about Chapter 11 and the regulatory side of things, we will have that clarity, and so we'll be able to kind of really determine, where we think we're headed with all of this. And and we know what's going to happen long term, but in the shorter term, I think we'll know what's going to take place.
Right. Which is why I say get ready for a little bit of some sideways action, at least through
Mhm.
quarter one of 2023, because to determine what's going to happen with Chapter 11 or anything else, if another domino is going to fall, it's going to take a little bit of time for that, either of those or something completely different to come out. It's going to take a little bit more time. So, if you can afford a little bit higher DCA amount than you typically do, for
Correct.
instance, say normally you do $25 a week. If
Mhm.
right now, you can do say $35 a week or maybe a little bit more,
Yep.
With an end goal in mind. I'm not going to do this forever, but while the bottom is looking like that range is in, this is a good time to deploy a little bit more capital to your DCA during this period right now. And likely we will see another dip, but I would try to do that for at least, February, March of 2023. Yep. Be prepared to do it through then if you do have some dry powder to deploy.
Absolutely. So guys, the answer is the macro bottom is we're in the zone. It's like you can't go wrong in the long term from where we're at. Of course, find out where we're at and what this is.
Yeah.
Is this fairy dust?
Is this fairy dust?
I'm sure everyone in Thanksgiving thought you were investing in fairy dust.
Yeah. Speaking of dominoes falling, I just wanted to touch on this real quick because I promised we would. This is your CEO of Marathon. It's talking about it was one of the largest publicly traded crypto companies. Riot's another large. I think Riot is the largest, correct?
Now it is. Marathon was one of the earliest.
Yeah.
Riot.
Ticker symbol is MARA if you guys want to go check it out. It does follow the price of Bitcoin pretty closely. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking to maybe trade it publicly, get into a stock rather than crypto or Bitcoin itself, this might be an easier way as far as entering in. You can go check out MARA or RIOT. Those are two actual mining companies that are traded publicly on the stock market. But they don't own, I didn't know this. Marathon doesn't actually own their mining facilities, and they use third-party data centers to park their computers. I thought they actually own the property because Riot owns.
Correct. I thought Marathon also owned back in the day.
Yeah. And so they previously paid out about $50 million in operating deposits to Compute North, which is who they were leasing to. In an update on Tuesday, the company said it has now written off $8 million of that total and expects to recover about $22 million. So less than half of the $42 million still remaining. That would leave $20 million of the deposit still unaccounted for. And Marathon said that it continues to work with various parties involved to determine its ultimate recoverability. I'm not saying that Marathon's going out of business, but this is just, I think, another one of those dominoes that we talk about. But Marathon's feeling it right now. I mean, that's
it's stretching their butt cheeks out right now.
Because they're in the mining industry, but they are not miners, like you said, and that's why people that are miners that are still actually making money, as long as they have the runway to cover the power costs and all the other costs, that's why they're still going. But Marathon isn't actually mining, like you said. So, but it's a common misconception with them.
Yeah, and there were certain facilities they had funds invested in that shut down, actually shut down because of this whole situation that was triggered. And it's the same thing again as always. It's the leverage that's built into this, and then giving your funds to organizations without true hedges in there, like. Yeah.
Anywhere, if you want to make a yield on your Bitcoin or other coins, fine. But make sure you do it in the sense where you still hold the keys to said Bitcoin, because the second you turn it over to somebody else, it's no longer yours. Even if you're making a yield, great. It's not worth it. And there are companies working on it. Nomic is one of them, where you can lend out your Bitcoin, but you still hold the keys to the Bitcoin. So it's they're working on it. So if you do lose, it's only going to be in their native coin. It's not going to be your actual Bitcoin that goes away.
Well, and I just wanted to back up a little bit, because I don't know if Marathon necessarily over leveraged. I think they just got into bed with the wrong. You had mentioned over leverage. So
my apologies.
So they didn't over. They just got into bed with the wrong company that ended up going bankrupt, and so now they're out.
Because the said company over leveraged. So Marathon over leveraged by proxy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
so
that clarification.
They actually reduced their leverage a little bit to 30 million from 50. And after mining 472 Bitcoin in November, they have 4,200 unrestricted Bitcoin and 11,757 total Bitcoin as of November 30th. So they still have, even though they've taken out leverage, they still have plenty in the wallet to overcome any kind of
and they have their
issue.
own keys.
Yes, correct.
Well done, Marathon.
They know how to do it the right way.
Exactly.
So yeah, the Marathon's feeling it right now. It's a lot of money to never recover from, or to never recover, but they will recover from that. So that's a company that, in my opinion, knows how to do it the right way. Even though there are mistakes that get made, they're just bound to happen. You're going to have these issues. It just sucks that it's a big one for them.
Well, they should have got a phone call from SBF. They wowould have known.
Yeah, right.
You got to get in
exactly.
the right friend circles, apparently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know it's for another day, that one, but the fact that Mr. Wonderful is coming out saying that he was trying to help him recover funds, which kind of, we'll speak of yes, but
yeah,
to save
Mr.
his
Wonderful
own ass,
right now is
I think
he needs
it
to
was
just shut up and enjoy his holidays at this point.
I think Mr. Wonderful went to him and said, "Bro, if I help you recover as many funds, will you pay me first?" Okay,
Maybe.
You understand? It's the only way to say, "Oh, I'm believing this guy," to tweet that. But never mind. Let's move on. Constructive things.
That's conspiracy Friday stuff.
Yeah, it is. Oh yes.
Jaime, you better bring your tinfoil hat game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aluminum foil will also do. It's a different metal.
I may be traveling, for everyone's knowledge, but if I'm at the airport and I can get good Wi-Fi, I'm in
a tinfoil hat.
Yes, I'll do it in public. I don't give a fuck. It's Friday.
You definitely need to get the tinfoil hat back. I mean, that should be more than just a one Friday thing. That was
until we get legislation, guys, and clarity on SBF, and the SBF is behind bars. It's all tinfoil from that point forward, at least in the crypto industry.
Yeah,
you know, we got tinfoil for Twitter. Everything we're doing as a society's got tinfoil in the mouth.
I should get a cowboy hat and just plate it in an aluminum foil.
That's what Codebug wants to see.
Yeah.
Guys, I dropped the ball on birthdays today.
But let's do it.
Come on.
Just some of the famous ones.
All right. So we got Larry Bird, who's 65.
Wow.
Get it, Larry.
And there's Jasmine Villegas, who's an R&B singer, who's 28. Dan Bilzerian is 41.
Oh, Lord. I used to really enjoy that guy's content until I found out it was all fake.
I know. Terrell Owens is 48. Still thinks he can play. And,
and he can.
He can. So he was playing arena football, last year?
Something like that.
He was actually killing it in arena football. And those are your birthdays. We also have, Tammy Lynn Sitch, Chris Crocker, Casey Lane. There's a lot of them. Angel Kelly are all birthdays today as well.
And SFW birthdays.
Yes,
yeah. And each quick RIP to Kirstie Alley, man. She passed away, 71 years old from cancer.
No.
Right.
Yeah, she's been battling cancer for a long time. Time.
Oh.
So man, really wish her and her family some peace and strength, because that one's rough, man.
Now I feel like I gotta go watch Look Who's Talking.
Yeah,
I know.
Or Cheers.
Bro, and there's a ghost in that one.
Right, yeah, exactly.
All right, guys.
So guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you go check out our Discord. The link is in the description. It's absolutely free to join and continue the conversations that we've had today. Until then, we'll be back Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And so until then, keep calm and huddled on, everybody.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Stack, sacks, and huddle.
That's
Keep
right.
going forward. Keep building America.
These stacks.